Morning. It's Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. I'm Larissa. It's my video diary. Oh my god. It's that time. Which time am I talking about? It is time to drink from skulls. Oh my gosh. So poor Omar. Something. He's bent. He's bent. He's mad. Brody pooped on the floor. And Sassy puked all over the place. Had a huge puke fest in his office yesterday. And he gets mad at Sassy, but I think Sassy's days are numbered. Do I think it's going to happen like today or next week? We know not the day or the hour. She's an old kitty, and I've noticed physical changes over the past couple months, and she is, she's just an old kitty, you know? She's an old kitty. I told him, I said, she makes it to Christmas. I won't be surprised if this is her last Christmas this year. And, thinking about that is hard too because, she's the last of our 5 kitties. Right? She remembers Santa Rosa. She remembers Oakland. She's been there with us. Yeah. And it's been hot, and he's tired, and he needs a fucking break. We both need a fucking vacation. And there's more work around here than what we can get done. And there's always a lot that needs done, and that's stressful to just not be able to just sit and relax, but to sit, you sit and you're like, oh, that needs done, that needs done, that needs done, that needs done. And then on top of it, my physicality being limited from what it used to be. And right now, having that changing because, like I got chiropractic adjustment yesterday, and I'm sore. I am. I was sore within a half hour after. And, I know it's because I'm being put back into place, right? After being denied medical treatment, Dominican Hospital. Yeah, fuck you, Dominican Hospital. Hey, Mr. Poopy on the floor. What's up with you? Why were you pooping on the floor, huh? What's your problem? Because those weren't sick poopies; those were normal poopies. Why'd you poopy on the floor? That was commentary poopy. Oh, he's hiding. He's hiding behind the curtain. That stinker, Mister Poopy Poop, Mr. Poopy Pants, Bishop Poopy Pants. Yeah. So, and our anniversary is coming up this Saturday. We're going out to dinner after gallery. But I feel like I don't know. I guess I just need to give him a card or something. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It just always feels so anticlimactic, right? We need a vacation. We really, really, really need a vacation. But can't really leave the house, right? If we want a vacation, we went on vacation. We got back. This place would be cleaned out, burned to the ground, animals dead and hung in the trees. Oh, yeah. Hmm. Oh, saw some news story this morning about some CEO talking about San Francisco never going to be what it's going to be, what it once was. San Francisco, I've been back up to Oakland since pandemic, right? I haven't been back to San Francisco. I haven't been to San Francisco in years. And it was bad before now. I'm sure it's 100 times worse. It was so dirty and people there were so fucking rude, right? And the homelessness and the poop on the streets, like there's and after the last show that I saw at the Legion of Honor, because I used to go into San Francisco just to go to the museums, right? The museums and the secondhand stores, the resale shops on Haight Street. Those that was like what I went into San Francisco for. And I just, those are the resale shops if I want to go resale shopping. Number one. And the music after that last show, I really the museum's not enough of a pull because if I drive up there and just to be irritated by the disrespectful installation and treatment of art and art institution, then I'm gonna be mad that I drove all that way to go up there. And then there's a good chance that my car's gonna get broken into. Why would I go? Why would I go? San Francisco's been overpriced for way too long. Way overpriced, grossly overpriced, right? You know, places like that, people are going to have to accept that property values are going to drop or need to drop, right? You have to accept that. You have to accept that. And it's a horrible city to walk in with all those hills. It's awful. It's not enjoyable, right? No. So I don't know. And they have all this bullshit politics of their dumbass mayor. It just it's hard to feel bad for the city. It's hard to. It's very, very hard to. You know? My experiences in San Francisco. Uh stuff for SF casting, right? The biggest name movie or whatever that I did that, I was extra on or whatever, um, was San Andreas Fault. That and it wasn't even I was an extra. I was an extra for extras, right? Because the days that I was there was the blocking shoots. It wasn't even film shoots, it was blocking shoots, right? So I was an extra for the extras. And most of the day, you just sit around all day, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that they're paying to just sit around, and then they feed you. They feed you lunch, and it was obnoxious. It was totally obnoxious. It really was. It was. It was totally obnoxious. So yeah, nothing good came of any of that. Nothing good came of any of that shit up there. And there was some TV show that I was an extra on. I don't even know if I ever like I never watched any of the stuff. Like I never even watched to see if I had any screen time in the stuff that I did. There was one TV show that I did, And I don't even remember what it was called. It's supposed to be some like sci-fi murder mystery thing. I don't know. I don't know even know what channel it was on or whatever, but it was a network. It was a network thing. Um, and then after that, I didn't get any more real jobs because after that, I would have been eligible for SAG-AFTRA, right? Because once you have um, once you have once you've been on 3 union sets and have so many hours, then you're eligible to apply for SAG-AFTRA. And that's why after that, they didn't, it was all just student stuff after that. Bullshit stuff. Because they knew if they gave me one more job, that they'd have to let me in the union. And I don't particularly like unions. And they didn't want to have to give me work. They didn't want to be able to, they didn't want anybody to be able to stand up for me. Right? Anyway, yeah. And what else? Going to El Rio. Those people were largely very, very rude to me. Not everyone. Not everyone was rude to me. Georgia was nice. You know, not in a backhanded way. She was nice to me in a real way. Um, David was nice to me in a real way. The rest of those musicians were pretty fucking rude to me. Yeah. The bar was certainly rude to me. I never had more than one drink while I was there. I'd have a beer. And a lot of times I had hot tea. They had hot tea. A lot of times that's what I drank was hot tea at that place. So it's not like I was in there being rowdy and drunk or anything. Yeah. Yeah. And I always had like 2 things, 2 drink minimum or whatever. So I'd have a beer and a tea or a beer and a ginger ale or whatever. I don't really like beer, right? And the wines didn't look that great. Yeah, they were rude. Yeah, those musicians were all really rude. Um, what else? Leela SF. Oh my gosh. I haven't looked at their website in a long time. I hope they took down the photo of me because they were using my face to advertise. And I'd sent her an email. I said, please take my picture and my profile off of your page because I have nothing to do with your business. She left it up there for quite some time. I sent her a message a few times. I'm like, hey, take my picture off your site. Yeah. She the woman and her husband who run that place, he's real greedy. He does music. He's a music producer and stuff, and he wanted to charge me. And he's no big name or anything. He wanted to charge me $6,000 a song. I'm like, and who do you produce? $6,000 a song, right? That's a lot of money for someone who runs a makeshift improv workshop, right? And his wife has some psychology background, and she calls everybody there her children, and I'm like, you're weird. But she uses psychological manipulation and stuff, and the people that that work for her, the staff that runs workshops and stuff and directs the individual groups, most of them they're all out of this same psychology program, right? And they try to do like a diagnosis, like when you first go in, your first round with them, they ask you all these questions. You got to do these little exercises, and they try to like figure out what's wrong with you mentally, and then they try to exploit you, right? It was she was mad because I told her I didn't want to be in an all-female group. Yeah. And then she's like, and what is this thing Reiki that you do? Can you just stop doing it? I said, I'm not doing it here. Like I can't not be a Reiki master teacher. I will always have my training. Like she was mad because I had Reiki certification. I don't know. And then she was mad because I told her, she's like, well, we're going to put you I want to put you in an all-female troupe. We're going to do an all-female troupe. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be in an all-female troupe. Sorry. And she was mad about that. She was pissed. So then I didn't come back because it was expensive, right? And I wasn't getting anything out of I wasn't really getting anything out of it. It wasn't getting me any work, right? It was just a line in her pocket. And then a couple times I went on other auditions, and there were people who worked from there that were at those auditions. I knew when I'd see any of those people that I wasn't going to get anything as soon as I got there because I told her I didn't want to be in an all-female troupe. And they did some pretty screwy ass shit to me. They did. They did. And a couple people have apologized to me on their own, right? Have contacted me, reached out to me on their own and apologized to me. And the people that apologized to me, I was surprised because they weren't people who I thought had really weren't ones I felt were offensive towards me, right? Um, I'm not going to mention names on this because I don't want to ruin anybody else's career, but um, yeah. So it makes me wonder just what all was because they'd all get together and go do stuff without me or whatever when I was in troop and stuff, and um, it makes me wonder what was the scheme, right? What was the gossip? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so there was that. Leela SF. And the restaurants weren't great. There's only one restaurant that we ever went to in San Francisco that was good enough that I'd say, oh, yeah, let's go to San Francisco for that restaurant. And it was a Pakistani restaurant, and it was never busy. It was like this hole in the wall that if you didn't know it, we happened to stumble in one time. It was off of Haight Street. It wasn't on Haight Street. It was like around down and around the corner a few blocks, and you had the parking around right around there is horrible, and the traffic was really really bad, and the way the road comes together, it's really awkward. So when you're driving through there's like the road all comes together into a point and then splits into six different four or five different directions, and you have to know which lane you need to be in order to go where you need to go, kind of thing. And it's a really awkward place. I almost got hit by a bus there the one night. Actually, we went down there to go to the restaurant. Coming out of the restaurant, I almost got hit by a bus. But that was the only restaurant in San Francisco. I can't remember what that place was called. The guy was really annoying. The guy that owned the place. It was he and his wife was the cook, and her food, she was just like out of this fucking world. Her food was so good. So good. It was so good. But he was a little over attentive. Right? He was so excited to have people come into his restaurant. And I think there had been some political he had dealt with some political stuff because he was telling us the one night we were there, the front window was cracked, had a big spider on it, right? Um, and he said that they had broken his window a number of times and that he just couldn't afford right now to replace it again. And so he just left the cracked window up there, and it was kind of taped up, right? It wasn't broken all the way through. It was cracked. He said because the last time he had special glass he put in that wouldn't, but it was still they had still broken the window, cracked it. And so it was some sort of, I'm sure it was some sort of political thing. And the way he was talking about it, it was a group of people. So they kept on coming after him. But there was usually, like us and like one other, they had that the place had an upper back room that had floor seating. And he said that he used to have musicians come in and and sit back there and play. Um, but there was seating back like those back there. There were four or five tables back there, and then on the main floor there were I think about like 10 tables. So they were small tables, two tops that you could then push together. Yeah. It's the only restaurant. It's the only restaurant in San Francisco. And when I heard Alioto's closed, I was not, no, I wasn't surprised, and I wasn't like, oh, too bad for San Francisco. That restaurant was terrible. The best thing about that restaurant was the building that the restaurant was in. Had a really cool view, but the service was shitty. The service was horrible, and the food was awful. The food was awful. I mean, it was just like dumping passata over your noodles. It was not good. It was not good, right? And it was not cheap either. People went there because it had that beautiful view. It had been there so long. Oh, the Aliotos. The restaurant was terrible. And like I said, they were snobby. Their servers were snobby and horrible. The last time I went there with a friend, because we'd gone to the museum, we went there, and I said, let's go down to the wharf and go to Aliotos. I said, I'm related to them by marriage, because I am. And she's like, oh, okay. And they never brought her meal. And when they brought my meal, I had ordered something, and I asked the waiter specifically, does this have meat in it? And he had assured me it didn't. And they brought me this meal that was full of lunch meat. Not even, nice prosciutto. It was some cheap fucking ham. And I'm like, this has meat in it. And like I said, it was just like passata. Oh my God. So I didn't feel bad when I heard they closed. I'm like, wow. Stop trying to pass that off as good. Because it's not. San Francisco was a big gimmicky town. That's all. It was a big gimmicky town with a huge chip on its shoulder. So, and it smelled. When you got down around the wharf, around that, it smelled bad down there. It did. It smelled bad. Yeah, it smelled like stale sewer water. So I haven't gone back. And all those little crappy gift shops. I mean, that's mostly what was down there. All the down, and you see those are all closed. It's like, yeah, nobody wants that knick-knacky shit. Those shot glasses and snow globes and cheap t-shirts and all that shit, right? Keychains, baseball caps. Nobody wants that shit. Nobody needs that shit. Why you need a bazillion stores down there? And the overhead is so expensive to rent there. And the galleries had been closing long before any of this. Because San Francisco used to have a lot of galleries and boutiques. Those closed long before the pandemic. Those were closing, 10, 15 years ago, right? When I was on the MAG board, that was one of the big topics of conversation at all of the events. Was like, oh my gosh, another gallery closed. Who closed now? Oh, who's still down there, right? Yeah. So the pandemic just cleaned out all the junk stores that were left. I don't feel bad for San Francisco. I don't. I really, really don't. Seriously, London Breed, take a little vacation. Take a little vacation to Detroit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. What else did I see in the news? What else? I don't even know. I will say that this morning, my Google newsfeed, was much better than it has been. I don't know. I get all kinds of shit for soccer and boxing and wrestling, and I'm not even going to watch basketball anymore. I never watched any of that other shit, right? The only thing I used to watch was basketball. And I'm not watching anymore. I'm so fed up with the entertainment industry. I'm so fed up with it. I'm not entertained, right? I have no need for their product. I have no need for their product. So this morning, there wasn't anything in there sports related, which was nice to see. I kept getting shit for football. I'm like, I don't watch football. I don't like football. Nothing against, people who play. I'm not saying I don't like you. I'm saying I'm just tired of the industry. And I don't need your product. Right? I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't want it. Yeah. Oh, so I guess there's all kinds of flooding happening up in New England. Wow. Yeah, all that flooding. That's wild. Oh, really, really, really marketing the climate change stuff. And I'm not saying that the climate isn't changing. The climate is changing. The climate is changing on the planet. It's kind of like the history of our planet. It's kind of the history of our planet, right? It is. Yeah. So I got my newsletter, the first run print, and there's a big friggin' edit that I missed. There's two. One's a big one. The one I was able to just, remedy. The one was I forgot to insert a link, right, on it. At this, it says insert link here, which was supposed to be a flag to me to remember to put in the link, and I didn't. So I just ran some whiteout tape over that and wrote in the link. So that wasn't a big deal. It was the first run. I just printed 50. But there's another one in there that Omar noticed that I didn't notice it. And I'm going to have to look at the hard copy to see if the hard copy is like that, or if something screwy was done at the printer with the printer. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But one of my events, I have the description for the event before it. And the only thing that I can think is that I moved, they're in a little box, right? And I switched the little box. I'd switched the little boxes, and maybe for some reason in the PDF, it remembered that the other one was there before. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I'll have to look at it and see. I don't think I'm going to have to put in a correction slip. So if I just print up a bunch of correction slips, and I was thinking promotional kind of thing, I can make a little, make bookmarks, right? Have the correction printed on cardstock, right? I can get 4 or 5 bookmarks out of a piece of paper. So if I get 4 bookmarks out of a piece of paper and there's 50 copies, then I need, what's that, 12? 12 sheets. If I do five on it to a sheet, then I can do 10 sheets. And then not have any left over kind of thing. Yeah, so we'll see. I should just go ahead and have 100 of them printed, because I have that other set of 50 coming in from that other printer. And if the issue is in my file, then it's going to be in that one as well. Anyway, I don't have an editor. I have to do it all, right? I write, edit, and publish, and do the setting all myself, right? I think my newsletter's pretty good. Yeah. Anyway, I hope it doesn't upset people if they see that and they're like, what is this? What is this? No, it's just Larissa in business by herself. That's what it is. But like I can't count on Omar has his full-time job and the shit he does around here, right? I don't like asking him to do anything more than bare bones, you know? I don't like asking him for his help on stuff because he's busy. He doesn't have the time, right? I don't know. And while nobody wants to pay me for anything I do, they expect me to pay them. That's for damn sure. Everybody wants me to pay them. Nobody will do anything for me for free. But, I sure as hell have done a lot of work for free over the years. Anyway. Anyway, the newsletter looks real nice. It does. Other than that, one edit, which really isn't that big of a deal. It's not. It's not. No, it's not. Because we're halfway through what this quarter is anyway. And it's not a big loss. And I can just make sure for the next run of newsletter. The big thing right now is product. So the first one was printed using Vistaprint, which is the printing service that I have used for the past like 20 years. Right, I've worked with this company for a long time, but they don't really have a newsletter or a newspaper print. Right, you have to print onto regular paper, so it's expensive. And they don't do assembly. Like I had to assemble all of those newsletters myself. They didn't assemble them. They came in flat sheets and I had to fold them and all that stuff. So this other company that I've used once before years ago, right? I used once before years ago, once. I've ordered through them and they do a catalog with a stapled bound. That's staple bound. So I'm hoping it's a 2 staple bind, not a 3 staple bind, so that so I can technically be folded in half and sent as a mailer, right? If I want to. I want that option. So we'll see when the product arrives. We'll see when the product arrives. It's supposed to arrive this week. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know. So what's going on in Sudan? I haven't seen anything about Sudan lately. Are they still killing each other there? I don't know. They're all going to be real hungry now, aren't they? So, I saw this morning that Port of Odessa was hit. Did Putin blow up the grain that he says cannot be shipped across the Black Sea? Did he blow it up? Did he destroy all that food? Yeah, did he? Hmm? I don't know. I don't know. Oh my gosh. The chiropractor, he says he thinks he can get me 80% better by the end of the summer. He's way, way, way more optimistic than I am. But I told him, I said, any improvement for me is a good improvement. Any improvement. And, because on the days that I get up and I can move around, like this morning, I'm feeling pretty mobile. Not without discomfort, but today's a decent morning. But the mornings that I can't, the mornings that I'm in a lot of pain, the mornings that it's very, very hard to get up and move, those days, the days when I have the weird sensations on my skin and all that stuff, those are hard days. And not just because I'm physically having trouble getting up, but because that takes a toll on you. You start thinking about, oh my gosh, what happens when I wake up and I can't move at all and I'm stuck in this bed, right? Like, or not, if, when, whatever. Those days are hard. Those days are really hard. I had a dream last night and I was crying in it, and that's odd because I don't normally cry in my dreams. That's a really, really rare thing. I cried. I was talking to somebody about the physical discomfort, and I was crying about it. And I don't normally cry. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, supposed to be open from noon to 5. Yesterday I was open from noon to 5. It was Monday. Mondays most people are closed downtown anyway, right? So, but I thought, since because of the car show, maybe there'd be people staying at hotels that are walking around looking for something, whatever. So that's why I decided to be open. And the same thing today. Like today, I'm usually open by appointment, and there's a number of the businesses down there are closed Monday, Tuesday. That's their weekend. Instead of Saturday, Sunday, they're closed Monday, Tuesday. Some of them are closed Sunday, Monday. Some of them are closed Monday, Tuesday. So, Tuesday's usually my by appointment, one of my by appointment days, and I'll be open noon to 5. We'll see how it is. If it's as hot as it was yesterday, it was really hot. It was really, really hot. And so even like the local yokels who usually walk their dog, and there's a few who will walk during the middle of the day or whatever, or, new moms with strollers or whatever, nobody was out. It was too hot. It was too hot. Yeah, it was too hot. So we'll see how today is. We'll see how today is. I was thinking I was going to try to bring Mr. Poopy Pants with me today because I'm going to need to take him on Sunday because it's a long day and it's a long time for him to be here at the house by himself. He's never been left alone that long. But I think the poopy this morning was because he was mad last night because Sassy was sitting in my lap and getting attention. And he has just been horrible with that poor kitty. That poor old kitty. I don't know why he's been so nasty to her recently. I mean, they always go back and forth, but he's been nasty. Nasty, nasty to her. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah.